Hi there, I'm Linda and this is Huttons Valley Permaculture. It's getting towards the end of winter and starting to warm up a little, and as usual my hens and ducks have started to lay again. And at the moment they're laying so many eggs that I need to do some preserving. Today I'm going to do some pickled eggs and also water glass preserving. Join me today as I gather today's eggs, and then with some of the eggs I've gathered over the last few days, we'll head to the kitchen and start preserving. This is one of my new girls. I've got 4 new ladies in this coop. They're just getting on to about 5, 6 months old, and they've just started to lay. You can tell because there's smaller eggs, and I've already spotted one little egg that one of these young ladies has kind of just dropped out. She didn't quite make it to the nesting box, or she mightn't quite realise what the nesting box is for. But that's a really small egg, which pullets do the first few times before they kind of get a bit bigger. So I'll pop that one in our basket and get started and hope that there's bigger ones to come. Okay, most of the time the ladies lay in the nest box here, but I do have to check around because often there'll be eggs in different spots, and that's what I've found today. One over here, this is a favourite spot. If the nest box is a bit busy, then often one of the ladies will go somewhere else, but mostly they're in this spot here. So that's what we're after nice clean eggs for my water glass preserving. If they're a bit dirty, then you can't really use them. So that's a start. Well, we'll leave all these ladies and gents to sun themselves, and we can head up to the front yard where I've got my second chicken flock. It's a pretty beautiful day today as we head up to my front yard. Now, I do have 2 flocks, mostly because I have 2 roosters that I want to keep. Ray is an original rooster, so he's kind of a bit of a pet. And Adonis is my daddy rooster. If I breed, which I have for those girls out the back there, I'll breed from Adonis, who's my big light Sussex rooster just there. And the little lady, I haven't got a name for her, that light Sussex is the mum of the girls out the back there. So I use that pair for the breeding pair. So we'll just head in here and see what eggs we've got from these ladies. This coop is my mobile coop, and it's the coop that I started off with. It's a sort of a Justin Rhodes style coop, which I have moved around this whole front garden to get the garden set up, and they've mostly done their job now. So soon I'll be moving them to a new bigger coop that's sort of a more permanent spot, and I think I might be moving this to the swale. I might move some of those girls from the back up to here and put Ray and a few ladies up around my swale area, and then use that back coop as a duck housing area. Hello, Chuff. Maybe a bit early in the egg collecting. We're still busy in here. Chuff's my 7-year-old girl. It's good to see her still in the nest box. She was one of the ones that came with me from suburban Melbourne. Well, we'll leave the hen undisturbed and I'll just take the eggs from the other side. Sorry, lovely. Looks like we have disturbed her, so I can grab the other eggs while we're here. Sorry about that, darling. There she goes. She's not happy with me. Sorry, lovely. I know. And we've got a few more eggs here. You can go back in there now, lovely. That's not a bad collection of eggs. Let's head down to the ducks and see what we can do there. Thanks, ladies. Thank you. And this one's Phoenix. She's my other 7-year-old from the burbs. Okay, so we're just going to have a look in each of these 3 duck houses. I know there's definitely one in the middle one because I saw that being laid this morning. The thing about duck eggs is, even if they're just freshly laid, which I saw this being freshly laid this morning, they still manage to get all sorts of dirt and poop on them. They're never as clean as a chicken egg. Now, I think I spotted one in here this morning. Yeah, hiding in the straw there, which I think we might have to go from the other end to go and get it. Just a small duck egg, but we'll add it to our basket. Each of these duck houses are a little bit different because I've made them at different times with different materials that I had, and while they're not ideal, they kind of serve the purpose. Now, not a lot to see at first glance. I think one of my girls has dropped an egg in the water, which I won't be using, but they often hide eggs under here, and I've only been recently onto that after finding a huge batch of eggs that I had missed, just assuming these girls hadn't started yet. So let's have a look under here and see what we can find. Yep. 2 lovely duck eggs. Now the Khaki Campbell eggs, they lay regularly once they get going, and they really lay a beautiful size egg. And if I can keep their little house clean with the clean bedding, the eggs stay relatively good. These ones are pretty good for duck eggs. So these will be great to add to the pile of duck eggs I've got inside, and my plan for these is to pickle them. But with this one hiding in the water, I'm just going to throw that out. Such a shame. It looks so beautiful, but having been sitting in that bacteria-laden duck water, it'll be really no good to us. Little birds will come to eat that up. Thanks, everybody. Now that we've collected all our eggs, we can get started, and I'm going to start with preserving these chicken eggs. We do need the eggs to be clean, and you can't wash them. So if there's any dirt on any of the eggs, I won't be using those. I'll just use those sort of straight away. But there's lots here that can be used. You can brush off any sort of bits of feather and stuff, and that'll be fine. For the duck eggs, we'll be using the pickling method because you definitely have to wash these. Even the really clean eggs, that's one of the cleanest ones, are still a little bit too dirty to preserve using the hydrated lime solution that I'll be showing you shortly. These eggs are usually fairly filthy. My Khaki Campbells hid most of these eggs, but it was all in the same nest, and they're mostly just got a bit of dirt on them, which will wash off, and they should steam up fine. If you've got any eggs that you're not sure whether you should use or not, it's probably better to err on the side of caution, but I'm pretty confident in all of these eggs. The chicken eggs that are clean will be perfect. These duck eggs will wash up okay and steam up beautifully. So I'll just get rid of all the duck eggs into the duck egg pile, and we'll just get those out the way for the moment, and we'll work on these. To preserve our chicken eggs, you need to get yourself some hydrated lime, which is available in the building section of a hardware store. It comes in a huge big bag, which is why I put some just into a container to make this easy. And all you need is a ratio of about 30 grams of the powder to 1 litre of water. So that's about 1 ounce, I think, to a quart in Imperial. And I'm just going to make enough solution to go into this bucket, sort of about halfway up. And then all you need to do is mix that in and then add in all of your clean eggs into the bucket. I've got 4 litres of water in my bucket, which means I need 120 gram of my hydrated lime. So I just need to measure that out. So we've got our hydrated lime all measured out. Just as a tip, I find it really easy in the container where I've stored some of my hydrated lime, just to write down the proportions that you need, so you don't have to go and check on videos all the time like I did to start with. Now you just need to add your hydrated lime solution to your bucket and give that a good mix. Now the hydrated lime is calcium hydroxide. It's not your normal garden lime, which is calcium carbonate, so don't use that. So make sure you get the hydrated lime from the building section, not the garden section. So all you need to do now is get your clean eggs and just pop them carefully into your solution. The calcium in the lime solution here blocks the pores of the eggs and prevents air sort of exchanging through the shell, and that preserves the egg. Now I've kept eggs like this for a while now, and I find that they're great to use in winter. I do find that I do cook them into an omelette or something like that. They're not quite the same as a fresh egg, but it's perfect for my winter breakfasts. Now, what I did find this winter was I ran out of fresh eggs. The girls stopped laying altogether, and I ran out of all my preserved eggs. So I want to make sure that I preserve enough going into next year's winter. Not only was it expensive buying organic eggs, but I did have to buy one lot of eggs that weren't organic, and I found that the eggs actually cooked up as a different colour, and it just didn't sort of taste right. I don't know whether that was my imagination or not, but eggs being a different colour to usual just felt not right to me. So I'm determined to get lots of eggs preserved for next year. That one's a bit dirty. Yep. So it's as simple as that, really. What I'll be doing over the next weeks is just continuing to add all my clean eggs into a bucket like this, and once this gets sort of full, you can keep topping it up just as long as you keep the ratio of 30 grams to 1 litre, and keep adding eggs till it's full, and then I'll just pop the lid on that and then start myself up a new bucket. And you're still left with plenty of eggs to use at the moment because the girls never keep them all clean. All right, I think we're just about clean or dirty. If you're not sure whether they're too dirty, just err on the side of caution. And I think we're all done. Now, in between additions, I keep the lid on it just to make sure that the water doesn't evaporate. You don't want to change your concentration of the solution. But what you'll find is that cloudy appearance will settle and it will become just sort of water, hence the name water glass. You can see right through it, and the eggs will sit happily there for quite some time. I have found one bucket did contain a cracked egg, which sort of spoiled all the rest, and I threw them out. But if you're really careful with your bucket, don't rock it around too much when moving it, your eggs should stay fine. But that's another thing you could check for with your eggs too. Just don't use any that have any cracks, or if you suspect there is a crack, just don't use them. Use them straight away. But I'll be putting that into my pantry and just making sure that lid stays on top. With the chicken eggs tucked away in the pantry, I'll just keep them there until that's full, and then I'll move it to my storage pantry. We can move on to the duck eggs. The first thing we need to do with all these duck eggs is just to get them clean. So I'm going to soak them in water, and it's okay to give them a bit of a rub just to make sure all of that's off. And then I'm going to cook them. Now I like to use my Thermomix. It has sort of a steam function that cooks these in 20 minutes, but you can also boil your eggs. Now there's 500 ml of water in the Thermomix already, and I've found that for duck eggs, you just need to have it for 20 minutes on Varoma, which is a steaming function, and I just pop it on a speed 4, and that should cook beautiful eggs. If it was for chicken eggs, I'd have it on for 15 minutes. While our eggs are steaming, we can get on to making the brine. But firstly, I wanted to mention that for both of these egg preserving methods, I have referred to other people's videos, and I'm going to leave a link to both of those videos in the description. So Homesteading Family does great water glass egg videos, so if you want to do it, also check out her video. And Simple Living Alaska has done a few videos on pickled eggs using different recipes, and I'm going to leave a link to their video in the description, which will give the actual recipe in their description. Today I'm going to talk through the recipe that they use, which is a ratio of 2 parts to 1 vinegar to water. Then you add in some salt, and then you can add whatever flavours you like. I'm going to be slicing up some red onion and adding that to each of my jars. And I'm going to be putting spices into my brine solution. So sort of about a tablespoon all up of spices, or a tablespoon and a half, depending on the volume that you're going to make. I know in Simple Living Alaska's recipe they've got sugar, but I'm not going to add any sugar. The preserving is done with the acid from the vinegar, so this is safe enough. I am adding salt for flavour, but to my recipe I'm going to be adding Szechuan pepper, some black pepper, celery seeds and some mustard seeds, and I'm going to heat that all up in my brine. So I'm well and truly making enough for 4 quart-size jars of eggs, and I'm going to do about a teaspoon each of these 4 spices. This is some home-saved celery seed with all the bits and pieces that come along with the seed. And I think the Szechuan peppers will give a pretty good flavour. And we're going to pop that all on the stove, give it a stir, make sure the salt's dissolved, or if you're using sugar, just make sure the sugar's dissolved as well. And that's hot and ready to go for when we're putting all our eggs in the jars. Also, while the eggs are cooking, I've just got some jars in my oven sterilising. I'll be adding the lids in there shortly so they're also hot and ready to go. When your eggs are cooked through, the fun task of taking their shells off begins. I've found usually with this method of cooking eggs, the shell comes off fairly easily, but I'm struggling today, so these might look a bit funny. Anyway, you just got to do the best you can with fairly fresh eggs. Egg peeling is done. While it wasn't the most successful egg peeling session, I did get all the shells off, and there's still plenty of egg left to pickle. So let's grab our jars out of the oven and get these eggs packed up. Woo, nice and hot. So all that's left to do now is pack the eggs, any ingredients you're going to add. You can sort of put in fresh peppers or capsicums or something into this as well, but I'm going to keep it fairly simple. I am going to add in some of my fermented garlic, but I'm going to start just with popping eggs into the jar. Maybe 3 into each, and then some onion. Actually, this might be enough just for 3 jars, so we'll just see how we go with the 3 jars first. And then I'm just going to put a little bit of this garlic paste into each. And then finish adding in the eggs. And the onion. I'll just do a small jar with the remaining eggs, and I'll probably just use that one up first. When they're all nicely topped up, I'm just going to wipe around the edges and then get their lids on. Because we've used hot jars and the hot brine, these jars should seal, and they should be stable just in my hallway pantry for quite a long time. I'm not too sure how long, but I would keep them just as long as they look and smell good to eat. If they don't look good or if they're smelling a bit off, I wouldn't eat them. But they should last for some time just sitting in the pantry. Now I will be starting off on this jar that I didn't quite fill, but I will be waiting sort of for a week or two just for those flavours to develop. I mean, you can have the eggs straight away, but you won't have had any of those flavours infused into the eggs. Now, if you're using these, you can just snack on them, or I like to get them out and quarter them and pop them into salads. And you can also use any of the vegetables that you've put in there too, because that's all been preserved in the pickle solution. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please check out the links in the description for the videos that I've referred to make these. I will be continuing to add eggs to my water glass bucket to make sure that I've got plenty over next winter, and I'll certainly be enjoying these with salads over the next few months. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Thanks so much for watching, and bye for now.